The Gemara in Shabbos tells a fascinating story of Moshe Rabbeinu going up to Shemayim, going up from Har Sinai to receive the Torah from Hashem to give over to the Jewish people. And when Moshe arrives there at the Kisei HaKavod, at this throne of glory that Hashem is waiting for him at to give him the Torah, the Malachim, the angels, stand up and protest and they say, "What is this person of flesh and blood doing here before us?" And God says, "I'm going to give him the Torah." And the angels say, "You're going to give the Torah to mortals, to finite creatures, to people?" And Hashem tells Moshe to hold on to his throne and respond to them. And Moshe's response is so interesting because Moshe doesn't talk about the greatness of people to explain why they are deserving of the Torah. Moshe doesn't say, "Well, angels, you're wrong, you're mistaken. People are actually capable of amazing things, and therefore we should receive the Torah." That's not what he says. He says, "Angels, were you in the suffering of Mitzrayim? Do you live with people who worship idols?" And the answer, of course, is no. So how could Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher tzisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim, I took you out of Egypt, how could that be for you? It's clearly meant for people. How could mitzvos about not being oved avodah zarah, of serving idols, be for you? You don't have that in your midst. Do you have jealousy? No. So how could the mitzvah of not being jealous apply to you? Do you have a temptation to steal? Or do you have urges and desires and temptations for whatever it is that the Torah is teaching us about, of keeping kosher and sexual morality and spirituality and ethics and business and all these different things? Do you have any of those struggles? Do you have any of those temptations? Clearly not, so clearly it's not meant for you. And so what Moshe is highlighting here is that the reason we are deserving of the Torah, the reason the Torah is for us, is not because of our greatness, it's because of our challenges. And I think this is so important because there's often a mix-up, a confusion that exists in our society at large, and psychologists have written about this, the conflation or the confusion between self-esteem and self-acceptance. A lot of people have self-esteem. Self-esteem means to think that I'm good at something, to know that I'm good at something. I'm good at a sport, I'm intelligent, I'm good at my job. Whatever it might be, I'm popular or I'm funny or I like the way I look. So people have self-esteem. Yes, that's a struggle. There are people who struggle with self-esteem, but in general, self-esteem is not the issue. People know in their conscious, rational, kind of adult brain, their left side thinking brain, they know that they have skills they're good at. They might not be amazing at everything, but they know what they're good at and they can feel good about that. What people struggle with is not self-esteem as much as self-acceptance. That my worth as a person, my being with value, is not contingent on those things that I'm good at. But it's deeper than that. It's that at the core, I am a person with worth, with value. It's that deeper than any of those specific skills or abilities or talents. Regardless of what I'm good at and not good at, I am a being that is created with worth and with value. That is self-acceptance, and that's something that so many people don't have. And the focus on self-esteem actually impairs our ability sometimes to have self-acceptance. Because when I think it's all about what I'm good at, that I need to have more self-esteem, so everyone has to get a trophy. What's the implication when everyone has to get a trophy? Is that, well, there's something wrong with you if you don't get a trophy, that you need the trophy to be good enough. Self-acceptance means that there are things I'm not good at and that that's okay, that I have struggles, that I have challenges, that I'm not perfect, and that I'm actually very imperfect and I'm flawed, and yet I can still accept myself because I'm human, because I'm a finite being. And so I have self-esteem, which means I know that I'm good at things, but self-acceptance means that I know I'm good at things, but I know I'm also not good at things. And that still allows me to be worthy and valuable, and I can still accept myself. And that's Moshe's response. Moshe's response isn't we're great, it's that we struggle, but yet we still have self-worth. And where does that self-worth come from? It comes from a tiny detail that you might have missed in the story if you read this Gemara. The Gemara says that when that Hashem tells Moshe to respond to the angels, before he responds to the angels, Hashem says, Moshe, hold on to my throne. Because your sense of self-acceptance, of self-worth, that is deeper than self-esteem, that deep sense of value and worthiness that you have as a being comes from the fact that you're holding on to my throne. It comes from the fact that you're created by God and that you are godly. And so each one of you, each person, by virtue of being a godly being, is no more and no less special than anybody else. Not because you're better at things. You can be worse at things. You can be better at things. But regardless of that, you're holding on to my throne. You're no more and no less special than anybody else. And with that awareness, you can receive the Torah with all the gifts and the struggles that it brings to you.